Hello.
ओके ओके येतोय आवाज.
Good, good evening, everyone. Today I will explaining how we use Logger in our project. Last time we see what is JUnit and what is its use cases and how to implement it in our project. Now we see what is Logger. Logger is an essential part of our application because it helps us monitor activities, track errors, and debug issue efficiently. I will walk through what logging is, what is important, how we implement in a Spring Boot. First, what is Logger? Logger is a tool that record message or information about the application behavior at runtime. For example, it can log define details like API request, database, transaction, or errors. In Spring Boot, we use ESLF4j. ESLF4j stand for Simple Logging Package for Java with Logback, which is the default logging framework. ESLF4j allows us to write logs in unified way and Logback manage how these logs are stored in display. Why why is logging important? Logger is a play a crucial role in our Spring Boot application and maintain debugging, monitoring, and error tracking. Now let's how to implement in our project step by step. First, add the setup application.property with logging configuration with this code. Here is a logging level root information. This is a set of logging levels to information info, and here is our local path to specify where its log file is stored, and this is the pattern file. Customize the log means format. Next, I add the logger in my class. For example, student service. Here is log initialization and it import in our project. Logger import org ESLF4j logger, and there are multiple levels in logger like uh, info error, warning, and debug. General purpose of information is successful operation when we use info. Error, when failure in exception, we use error. Debug, when we use the troubleshooting of our application. Indicate potential issue needing, we use one. Here is how it works in action. Let's see. When I call add student method, it logs the message saying a student is being added. Here is my student student saving student in our database. Here is my information of log. If I get student by ID, log debug message fetching the student. Here is my request log fetching student with ID with log. Now let's see how log is implement in our project. Firstly, start the project, then go to Postman. First, I hit the get request by get all student. Here is my all student list with ID, name, email, and password. And now you can see here in console also fetch receive request to fetch all student from database. Here is information of login for receive request to fetch all student. This message print is here. Now let's see in our local file. Desktop. Here you can see fetching all student with database and receive stud request to fetch all student is successful. Now see second request, get student by ID. We receive student with ID 1 in console also display fetching student with ID 1 and receive request to fetch student with ID. Complete request successfully. Here it's name, email, and password also. Now going to third request post. Student with created ID 10, name, email, and password. Complete requests 201 created a new student in our database. Saving student with name, ID, and password. Here you can see. Also see in our log file when we reload this file. Here is add log. Completed student is created and receive request new student added with ID, name, and email password. Here is I implement information message of student all request one by one. That's how logging work in our project. It's a simple implementation of ESLF4j and logback, and it provide a powerful way to monitor and debug application. Benefit benefit of a log. Easier debugging log helps in identifying issue during development or production, error tracking, capture stack tracks or exceptions, perform monitoring, audit trails. Here is benefits of logger. When when we when we hit the URL with don't store in our database, so it display error, student not found with ID 4, also displays here error, student not found with ID. This error I manage in exception handling file. Here logging error. Now let's see validation. Validation is a implement in our project. Validation is a very useful tool for Spring Boot app. It ensuring process accurate data enter in our database well format. In this topic, I will cover what validation is, why it's important, how we implement in Spring Boot. What first, what is validation? Validation is the validation ensure that data enter into system meet certain rule or requirement before it processed or saved. For example, a student name should be empty. An email should follow the proper format. In Spring Boot, we use annotation for give our app to validate. First, we add the dependencies in our pom.xml Spring Boot starter validation. This starter include necessary libraries for Java bean validation. First, I add entity validation in my entity file that not null size and column. Not null ensure the field is not empty. Size is ensure the field length written in defined range. Column is our database table name. Now I am adding also in post controller for post request for validation by using valid annotation. It valid annotation. Spring Boot automatically validates incoming student object based on annotation we added here. And here is second validated. Now let's see practically how validation work. I am adding new student with empty name. Let's see. Here is error message for name must be between 2 to 15 character or password. We change password with minimum letter. Second message default name must be 20 character and password must be 6 character long. Here is how implement validation work in our Spring Boot project. Also console display error with pa password must be list 6 character long. Name must be between 2 to 50 character. Now let's add with name with correct uh, password. Student is created successfully with ID, name and email password. That's how validation work in our project. It is simple but powerful feature that ensure the quality and safety of our data. Now let's move to third topic, exception handling. Exception handling. Exception handling is a concept to handling crucial, creating and robust application that can gracefully recover from errors and provide meaningful feedback to the user. In this topic, I will cover what exception handling is, why it's important, how we implement in our project, including key component with files. What is exception handling? Exception handling is a programming technique used to manage unexpected situation or errors during the execution of an application. Instead of crashing app unpredictability, the application can handle this error gracefully, continue and functioning. For example, if a user try to access a student record that does not exist in application, should show a meaningful error like student not found instead of throwing uh, raw errors. If valid data is submitted, the application should notify the user about the issue with proper details. Why exception handling is important? Uh, Exception handling improve user experience, centralized management, debugging and monitoring. First, I create a sub package in a main folder with exception. Here is my for file. The error details file used to centralize the error response sent to client, ensure that error messages are structured and meaningful. Status code. Status code of the error like 404, 400, 500. Message. Message. A message is human readable description, details, additional content, add endpoint like error. So second file, student, invalid student. Invalid student. This exception is through when student data is submitted from invalid user. Here is third file. This exception is thrown when request student does not exist in our database. Last file. In this file, we use exception handler annotation for capturing specific exception and return structure response. HTTP not found, bad request, internal server error. Here is I also added error message with log. Here is initialization of logger. Now let's see practically how it's work. In Postman, I see get student with do not store in our database like 5 number student. Student not found with ID 4. Here is how manage exception handling. Student not found. Here is I add message and return. That's how exception handling is implemented in our project. We handle the error of our file project. Here is my full file of exception handling. First, that's how exception handling in implemented in our project. User This is user friendly and easy to debug our application with through the exception handling. I hope you clear with this demo. Now any question? Hello.
क्लियर आहे क्लियर आहे ती ऍप लॉग फाईल दाखव बरं कसं केलं सांग ना एवढं ते ऍप लॉगचं हे हा
अ, या फाईलचा पाथ सेट करावा लागतो आपल्याला ऍप्लिकेशन डॉट प्रॉपर्टी मध्ये. आपल्याला कुठं स्टोअर करायची ती फाईल. एक मिनिट.
ओके ओके क्लिअर आहे चालेल
इथे लॉग
Recording
फाईल
stop करा.
होम डेस्कटॉप लॉग फोल्डर अँड ॲप डॉट लॉग.
ओके रेकॉर्डिंग करतो रेकॉर्डिंग स्टॉप कर